And we are live here in the special edition of the Spoiler Room. It's an interview episode, if you will, and I am joined, very honored to be joined by a couple of people who are involved in a project you just may have heard of. The project is Manos Returns. Yes, that's right. It's the sequel to Manos Hands of Fate, and tonight I have the honor of talking to, first I'll introduce Jackey Neyman. Jones,
Neyman.
Neyman, excuse me, I
Uh-huh.
apologize. Jackey Neyman Jones, and she played Debbie in the original Manos, and she's the producer for the sequel. How are you doing tonight, Jackey?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. And next to her is the director of Manos Returns. She's been on the Spoiler Room, some of our earlier episodes. We welcome back Tonjia Atomic. Hello, Tonjia. How are you tonight?
Hello. I'm doing pretty good.
Good to hear. Looks like our Google Hangout is stable here. Just to let our viewers know, if you want to send a question to either one of these ladies during the interview, just tweet it at MovieManiac3D, and I should see it up there, and we will ask the questions. So we're going to dive into the questions tonight. We actually got one already from the Twitter feed, and it was going to be the question that I was going to ask anyway. We'll start with Jackey. Where did the idea for another movie come from? This is from DWN Productions.
Okay. Well, back in 2010, I was approached by someone who wanted to make a sequel to Manos, and through that, I got my father involved, and we did some filming, but that project fell apart. But the idea never left my mind, and my dad just kept getting older, and I always felt kind of bad that that never got completed and he never got to see himself in something better than Manos. So, last year I was at a friend's house. He was doing some filming, and we had my dad involved, and Brian Jennings, the son of the sheriff, was there, and it just kind of evolved, and we started talking about it, and then the next thing I knew, this group of people came together just so organically. Joe Sherlock of Skullface Astronaut had asked me to be in one of his films, and he knew Steve Foley, who is our editor and our script writer. Sorry. And
Okay.
I tried turning that off, but Steve Foley, our script writer and editor, I started talking to him. He wanted to make a go at a script, and they both knew Tonjia, and then it turned out that they all knew Rachel Jackson of Hands of Felt, who I knew, and although we're kind of in different places, we are in different places geographically. It just kind of came together so organically, and this group of people are all independent. They've all worked on their own for a long time, and they know how to put together a project. And when we started talking, it was like magic. It's like it just came together so smoothly, and everybody has their own skills, and we have so much respect for each other that it just came together. And so now we have this opportunity. My dad is really excited about it. We got his part filmed, and we're ready to go on this. My big goal here is to make a fan film that the fans can really enjoy, a film that we who are putting it together can feel very proud of, and an opportunity for my dad to have a little retribution after 50 years.
Now, was it just happens that we get a little feedback. Hold on. There we go. Oh, I might have to mute your mic. I think I hear me coming through. Oh, there we go. Now we're all right.
Okay.
The joys of Google Hangout. It just so happened then that it came together so close to the 50th anniversary then too of Manos, or did you plan it that way?
Well, I found that everything that happens with Manos is kind of meant to be in a way. It's the will of Manos. That's all I know, is that the opportunities present themselves and that I follow those opportunities. And I've been aware, obviously, for a long time that the 50th year was coming up, and I wrote a book last year. It's actually going to be out here very, very soon, called Growing Up with Manos, The Hands of Fate. So my goal was to complete my book and have it out by the 50th year anniversary, and then this project came together, and it's come together so well and so quickly that our goal is to actually screen our film on the anniversary of the 50th year since it was shown in the theaters in 1966. So that's November 15th. And we already have so much together, and with this Kickstarter, that's going to give us the funding that we need, but we've already done so much planning that it's going to take some doing, but we'll get it done. We have some real motivation here.
And it's going to be in the hands of your director, Tonjia, to help push that through. Now, Tonjia, were you a fan of Manos before coming onto the project?
I was. I have to say, I interestingly enough, I found out about Manos the Hands of Fate through Rachel Jackson, who did the Manos the Hands of Felt. So I found out about the movie through her. I've always been a big Mystery Science Theater fan, so it was a lot of fun to discover that. And I've seen actually the original film. I've seen the restoration, the Hands of Felt, the Mystery Science Theater version, all while trying to like really understand the film and the fandom and everything about it. I still have to see the Riff Tracks. I heard that there's a Riff Tracks version, so I have to see that. But yeah, I've really become deeply involved, I think, in the world of Manos.
Now, I was reading the description on the Kickstarter, which if anyone's watching here, there should be a link on the right. Otherwise, it'll be in the description as well for their Kickstarter campaign. It mentions that it will be filmed with the tongue firmly planted in cheek. Tonjia, are there going to be some scary moments as well in Manos, or is it going to be just more of the a lighter, fair comedy angle with it?
There are going to be some scary moments. It's going to have some like an eerie, but there'll be things that are funny in it as well, and it's kind of a mix between horror and comedy. Sort of like somebody said, kind of like the Abbott and Costello films.
Oh, sure.
Where they meet the Universal monsters, and I kind of felt like it'll have some of that. Like it'll have the real scary stuff going on that's serious, but then it'll have sort of the other characters that are funny that don't really get what's going on. So I think the script is really clever that way.
And now with that, since it is going to be a sequel, Jackey, I know you're credited with actually, being part in embracing your Manos, but some people that were involved in the project, not quite so much. Are you bringing back some of the cast, and how much of a challenge was it to bring some of the cast back?
Well, very little of the cast still survives. So,
sure.
As in Hotel Torgo said that all cast and crew had mysteriously died or disappeared, and that's not necessarily the case. There's not so much mystery involved as the fact that it's been 50 years and all those people were adults at the time. So there's not that many still living. There's me, of course, my dad, who's 80, Diane Marie, who is, boy, I hate to tell a lady's age, but she's 21 in 1966. And but she's still beautiful. She had this amazing career as a top model in Europe, and we'd like to bring her back. And that actually depends on our funding. The other person is Nikki Mathis, who is the original vocalist in the soundtrack and sang Forgetting You. I found her in the process of researching my book because she wasn't even, excuse me, credited in the film to begin with. None of the musicians were except for the ones that actually wrote the music and the lyrics. But she's been a jazz vocalist, a singer for, since, professionally since 1959, a good 7 years before Manos. And remarkable woman. She's agreed to re-recording the songs that she's done. She's going to re-record Forgetting You for us. So that's very, very special because if anybody as a Manos fan has really paid attention, the movie might have been pretty bad, but the soundtrack was pretty fabulous. And so we're really excited to get her back. And then Brian Jennings, who is the son of the sheriff, of my favorite line in the whole film, whatever it is you're not doing, don't do it somewhere else. He's going to come back and play the sheriff in his dad's role, because his dad has passed on. But Brian Jennings is just, he's got a great sense of humor. He's a great guy, and he looks a lot like his dad, so we're very excited about that, too.
Well, that's great that you're able to get him for that role, because I do remember the sheriff role. I just rewatched it recently, actually, and that is one of the more memorable roles in the film. And so, my mind blanked for a minute. For this, you mentioned how how many people consider how bad the film is. After watching it, I can say I've seen worse, so I don't think it deserves as maybe some of the criticism it's got. But for filming this, Tonjia, are you going to be doing it, I will say, in the same style as that film as far as some of the editing and some of the quirks of the film, or are you going to give it a little bit, I guess, better, improved treatment, I should say?
Well, the thing about the original film is that all the little things about it that people find funny or endearing, that can't be remade.
Sure.
It happened organically, and it's kind of how people sort of have a love for that film because it's got an awkward quality, and I don't even know how to make a film like that. To be completely honest, we're gonna do kind of a traditional narrative type film, have some like I said, comedy elements and horror elements, and reference the first film as well. But we're gonna make it our own way and not try to copy someone's style, which it was a style unintended as well. And Jackey, you said something about it. It was like a unique thing that happened like once in a lifetime, depending on his Hal's situation at the time, is how that movie came to be what it was. So we're not going to try to mimic that because it would just be unsuccessful, I think.
Right. Yeah, and I've said that if you think about it, back in 1966, we're 50 years advanced in technology and ability. Back in 1966, in the desert of El Paso, these were community theater people that had very little knowledge of cameras and no knowledge of filmmaking, and yet they did it. It cost a lot of money to rent the camera and to buy the film, and these are just things that we don't have to worry about today. Plus, our team happens to be very talented, and Tonjia and Joe Sherlock, who's our DP, have both won awards doing low budget and no budget films. And so it just you can't recreate something like that. It wasn't done intentionally. I like to say it's like lightning in a bottle. You just can't redo it. You know, there's no point trying. It would be an insult.
And actually, that makes me happy to hear that, because I think some people who do sequels for these cult classics try to capture that exact style that it was before, and it just, you can't, because the people shooting it, I mean, you had firsthand knowledge, Jackie, as playing Debbie, that they're truly feel that they're making something, you know, and I don't think anyone went into the film going, oh, we're just going to make a terrible film.
No,
You're making.
they knew they were making a good film, but they were making the best film they could with what they had at the time. But they had no idea that it was going to be that bad.
Well, actually, the story for it, I thought actually was interesting. I think, you know, a lot of people just focus on the execution and don't pay attention to the story behind it. I think there was a lot of potential there, but there are some rougher spots with it as well, which you know, it gained popularity. I had heard about it through MSTK, which made it a habit of picking on films. Now, Jackie, was this film lost for a number of years and they happened to find it, or how did the
It
original?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it showed at the theater at the premiere in 1966, and then it was distributed here and there. I've talked to a couple people over the years that saw it at drive-ins around the country for about a year, and then it pretty much disappeared. And until 1993, it had been in public domain. It had been copies of copies. I've talked to people who found it at garage sales and saw it on bootleg, VHS. And then in 1993, Mystery Science Theater got a hold of it and screened it, and that was the first time in 27 years that my dad and I had seen it since 1966. We never saw it after that horrible premiere in the theater. And so, yeah, I had spent my childhood, it was a significant memory for me, and I held on to and cultivated those memories for many years, believing that that was all I would ever have. And so when it came back, it was pretty remarkable.
Jackie, I actually have a question for you. As an actor, and your dad's response to you as an actor in the film, did people sort of want to forget it after the premiere? What?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, most of the cast and crew ditched out before the lights came up, and after that, I don't recall anybody ever talking about it. And then in my interviews in my book and all my research tells me that anybody that was at the premiere really just wanted to forget about it. I mean, even the critics in El Paso that were writing about the theater and music at the time. One woman in particular was the head critic in El Paso, Joan Quorum. She wrote all about art and culture and entertainment, and she wrote many glowing articles about my father, reviews about my dad over the years. But I'll tell you, there wasn't one review from her about Manos. And it was strangely silent, actually, in El Paso after the premiere. I think that it was a very small community, and that people wanted to forget it so bad that journalists and all were embarrassed for the cast and crew, and so everybody just kind of kept it on the down low as much as possible and tried to forget it ever happened.
And then it got new life again in 1993. So I guess something came out of it. You
Yeah,
know,
so there's a lesson for you. You know, you be careful because you never know when stuff's going to come back.
especially now, especially now with the internet where everything's on there forever, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, how does your dad? How did your dad take it, or how does he feel about returning to the role of the master, Jackie? Is he
Well,
excited? Is
well, it's taken him a while to get to this place. I mean, when Manos first came back in 1993, he actually saw it that day, January 30th, 1993, because he was a MST fan, and so he saw himself on TV and was just floored. And then he told me about it, and I got a VHS tape, and I put it away, and we were just kind of happy it was found, and we were satisfied. But then things started happening. People kept talking about mono, so I kind of made it my place to straighten out the Manos mythology that's out on the internet, and to let my dad know what was going on. So I've talked to him over the years, and I let him know when fans send messages for him, and I just let him know what people say, and I'm always letting him know that I said, Dad, you just wouldn't believe how many people are looking for your approval. Yeah. I said, God, people all the time, they're asking, does the master approve? You know, so he gets a big kick out of that, and so he's lived it vicariously through me all these years. And in 2010, he agreed on my behalf. As he said, he did it only for me. Was reprised his role of the master in the other sequel that it never happened, and sadly, you know, the things that were filmed of him will never be seen. So, you know, it's a process. And then when Ben Solovey did the restoration and asked us to do the commentary for the restoration and interviews, Dad agreed to that, and so it's been bit by bit, but you know, now he's 80, and if we're ever going to do anything that he can benefit from, this is it. Because all these wonderful Manos projects, it's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it, and he gets a kick out of it. But none of us have ever benefited from it, you know, other than the fun of it. And so that's one of my motivations too, is to do something that he can be proud of, and that he can actually financially benefit from it, even a little bit.
well, it would be nice for that to happen for him because as I've heard it said that they didn't get paid on the original set, correct, for Manos, or there wasn't a payment. Everybody just kind of was working, kind of like the independent scene for some films now. People kind of just volunteered their time for it, was it?
Yeah, but the people on Manos, most of them weren't setting out to volunteer their time. They signed contracts, and they were to be paid, and they were to be paid stock options, but kind of in the same style as what's his name, Max and the producers. Hal Warren gave away several 100% stock in his film, and he never, well, if he ever made anything of it, he's the only one that knows. And so nobody got paid. My dad not only starred in the film, but he did all the props, all the costumes. He was an artist, so all the hands, Torgo's staff, Torgo's costume, the master's robe, he designed it. My mother created and sewed it. The wives' dresses, they designed. Pretty much all the furniture in the house was ours, except for the couch. That did not come from our house. I just got to be really clear about that. And I mean, my great grandmother's bedspread was on the bed. The dog, the Doberman, was our dog. My dad even gave his child for this, you know. So he put a lot of time and energy into this film with nothing back. Oh, wait, one last thing is that Hal Warren even took off with the robe and the master's painting that my dad created. So my dad literally didn't even get his own property back.
Wow. What were you going to say, Tanya?
Oh, I was just saying, basically all the memorable parts of the
Oh, you broke up there for a minute. You said all the memorable parts came from...
Oh, I was just... All the memorable parts and all the compelling things about the film, it seems like it was all from Jackie's family.
It does. It seems like everything that was that's memorable about it came from Jackie's family. So that's why I'm kind of excited to see this Manos Returns pop up. And now you're doing this by Kickstarter, correct? Tanya, why don't you tell me just a little bit about how far it is and what kind of perks people can kind of expect from the Kickstarter?
Oh, sure. We're a little bit over halfway with the Kickstarter, so that's super exciting. We're just over a week into it. We're a little bit over halfway of our kind of a bare bones budget, what we think we can get away with and have a film that's presentable. We do have a larger goal in mind that we're hoping to get a little closer to, because we do want to bring back some of the original cast and pay for their expenses and everything, and we want to do some things with costumes and locations and stuff. So we do have a larger goal. Some of the perks on the Kickstarter that are really exciting is even at the $5 level is you get a digital download of the new recording of Forgetting You with Nikki Mathis doing the new vocals. And there's, you can get the DVD. That's always one that's exciting. So you can get the DVD, a signed copy of the script, those kind of things. We're adding something special on Valentine's Day, so look for that. One exciting perk that nobody's picked up yet is the Manos Cure, which I'm really excited about. I really want someone to get this. It's a manicure, a mani-pedi with the ladies of Manos. So it's Jackie and Rachel and I, and we're gonna have a mani-pedi salon day with whoever picks this perk. You can also get a Torgos staff replica made by Jackie. Another cool one that nobody has picked yet is a voicemail message from the master. So I'm really excited for someone to pick that. There's a couple walk-on rolls and extra parts. So I'm excited about this. I want the perks.
Oh.
And I want to say about the master's voicemail message is that it's 20 seconds, and he can record, as long as it's within taste, he can record anything. So if you want a podcast introduction or a radio introduction or anything, 20 seconds, the master will be happy to record that for you.
That's worth the price of it right there.
I think so.
Now, I had a couple questions here for some other folks that I want to put out there. Tanya, Philip from nerdslant.com asked, is there going to be anyone in the movie walking like Torgo?
I can confidently say yes.
I'm sorry, what was it?
That's what I'll say. It's a yes. It will be someone walking like Torgo.
Jackie, where did...
At least at some point.
Jackie, where did that idea for Torgo's Walk come from? Do you know?
Well, my dad had always remembered that as because he designed Torgo's costume as well, and the knee braces that John Reynolds wore. And, there's a lot of mythology about Torgo being meant to be a satyr. And what's interesting, though, is in researching my book, I did find a line that was crossed out in the script that gives indication that that originally was the intention. But, with budget and all, it never came about. And so my dad says that his idea of doing the knees and the legs the way they were was because Torgo was a different kind of a person, somebody with some sort of deformity. And my dad said humps had been done. So that's, it was about budget and coming up with something that would make him look quite different, and it succeeded.
I was going to say it's a very memorable walk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's rumors that John Reynolds wore them backwards or incorrectly and became addicted to painkillers and killed himself because of that. But, if you think about it, the entire filming of Manos took place in like 3 weekends, so kind of a short time for all that to happen. But he did not wear them incorrectly. But he sure worked them.
Now, for Tonjia, I had another question here from Allie from NerdSlant. She was just wondering how you felt about being, and this is her words, how being a woman director in a particularly male-dominated field, doing your own thing and not giving a damn. How do you feel? How does that feel to be able to do that?
Feels damn awesome. No, that's awesome. When I went to film school, I'm gonna be honest. When I went to film school, it was primarily men. I was one of like 3 or 4 girls, and down to the end, I think the graduating class. Well, I think down to the end, the graduating group was like 3 or 4 girls, me included, and the rest were all men. That actually, I was kind of naive to that. It kind of surprised me because I never thought about it in those terms. As I've gotten more involved in filmmaking, especially genre films, I have noticed that it is primarily men, but that there's a large group of women genre directors out there. And I'm in a Facebook group of over 500. So they are out there. It's just a lot of, I think, not all of us, but a lot of us are independent, and it's a little bit harder to get out there. And I think things are getting a little bit better. I feel like with the support of people that I've met and the support of people online, especially people like Hannah Neurotica and the Soskats, and I mean, I could go on and name so many amazing people, but I think just having the support networks there, it's been a huge difference for me especially, and I have not felt as isolated as I had when I started. But definitely when I started, it was isolating. But now I found, if anyone is out there that's female who wants to become a genre director or looking for support or just interested in it, Women in Horror Month, just look it up, get connected to the people, and you will find yourself a huge support group. And that's, that is really like a second family kind of to me. So for me, that's really helped.
Well, even Manos here is a strong female-driven project. We have Jackey and you involved, and then there's Rachel as well, correct? Kind of help spearheading this project. So evidence right there that it can be done, and there is a network out there, and you use social network, and I think it's great. Women in horror, I'm a big supporter of it, and we're in the middle of it now, and what better way to support women in horror than to help support Manos? Manos Returns for that. Also, Allie from Nerdslant wanted to know, is there going to be more gore in this one since there was pretty much no gore in the original Manos? Either one of you, Jackey or Tonjia? Either one of you?
There is not going to be a lot of gore. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of gore. I'm going to say it's, yeah, not really a lot. I mean, there's like creepy things that happen, scary things that happen, but not a lot of like dismemberment type things.
Yeah.
No green inferno, then you're saying? Jackey, will you be returning in front of the camera then as well to reprise your role as Debbie?
Yes, I will. I'm really looking forward to this. It's been 50 years, and Debbie was 6 years old at the time, a young, innocent child, but anyone who, and I hate to do spoiler alert, but, well, spoiler alert is, yes, Debbie was a wife at the end, so that's kind of creepy. And so, you just kind of have to speculate what she might be like after living with these people for like 50 years. And I'll just say that she's a little testy, a little angry maybe, and I'm really looking forward to digging deep and pulling out some of these these submerged. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun, a lot of fun.
So will the film take place 50 years after the original, or is it a little bit back further as far as time period of where this takes place?
We're pretty much in the present time in this film. So, yeah, we're looking 50 years forward. Mm-hmm.
And Tonjia, if you could, why don't you give our listeners just a quick view of where this film is as far as the story in the timeline. It's 50 years later, and what kind of happens to people, and what triggers the events for them to return to the ranch where Manos was.
So, basically, it's the main characters are characters on a drive that are fans of the original film. I don't want to give away too much, but we reference the film as a film in the movie, and but in the reality of our film world, it is based on real events with real characters, and these people happen across the real Manos people 50 years later from the original events. And I want to say the comedy comes across, or the comedy is because the people don't really understand what they're into. Mm-hmm. And, the world of Manos and Manos, the deity, are real, and the people don't quite realize what's happening around them.
That definitely. Yep, that's just what I was looking, just for a basic idea, so people kind of understand where this one's coming from. Because you hear sequel for Manos, I'm sure a lot of people could think of, well, that could go any number of directions for it.
A lot of different directions. Yes.
So it is a little meta, but not, because even though you've got the film out there, the Manos people might actually be real, so you kind of got the double thing.
Yeah, it's slightly meta. Yeah, it's slightly meta, but also saying that no, Monos is actually real.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's clever. There's a lot of layers going on in the script.
And how long was Jackey? Did they come to you with the script already done, or did it take a while for the script to get written? How long did
Uh,
that take?
yeah, well, when Steve and I first started talking, it actually just kind of it happened because I was doing a film with Joe Sherlock, and Steve Foley is working on that film, and so I got to talking about to Steve, and the idea came up. We just started talking, and it just happened very, very quickly. And Steve asked to take a crack at writing a script. Excuse me, and he came up with a basic storyline pretty quickly. So he's continuing to develop it and build on it, and there's still a little ways to go, but we have our basic story now.
And you have the story. How about the cast? Do you have pretty much the cast picked out yet, or are you still looking for parts?
There's still a few parts that we want to nail down, but we have some of it definitely cast, and we have some of it, with some people in mind, but we haven't quite nailed some of those things down. So there are a few roles that we're not sure about yet, and there are a few definite roles that we have. So basically, where we are in the production is we're still in pre-production. We've got a lot of things worked out, but we still have a few things that we're nailing down. So by the time we're ready to film, I think we'll have everything ready to go. I feel like we're in a pretty good place with it.
Mm-hmm. And so there is still time yet on the Kickstarter, and will some of the casting you mentioned before for getting some people back and some new people, will that also kind of rely on how much the Kickstarter can get going?
Some of it will, yeah. We really want Diane and Brian to be in the film. We're figuring that some of the expenses that we don't have covered right now are travel expenses for them. So if we can get that covered, for sure they're going to be in the film. It's just a matter of can we afford it or not. Things are looking good, but I'm not 100% sure on those things yet.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here quick. Why don't we have you real quick, Jackey, why don't you tell them where they can find more information? I've got the link down below for the Kickstarter, but for those that are listening, where they can possibly find more information about Manos Returns, and if you're on Facebook, and just kind of give where they can find out more about this project.
Everything is through Manos Returns. So, excuse me, manosreturns.com, Manos Returns on Facebook, and that'll take you right to our Kickstarter. So, Manos Returns, that's the magic word.
And Tonjia, for you, do you have on Twitter contact as well where people can follow you not only with this project but your other projects?
Yeah, everything's under my name. It's Tonjia Atomic, and it's spelled Tonjia, Atomic. So if you go to tonjiaatomic.com, or I'm Tonjia Atomic on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So everything's under my name. If you go to my website, tonjiaatomic.com, there's also buttons to everything else, and you can see my past films, links to those, and everything's on there. So.
Awesome. Well,
all my personal stuff is Debbie's Manos. So .com, the blog, website, everything's Debbie's Manos for my book and everything else that I'm doing too.
I was just going to ask that. Is there a link for your book? When is that supposed to be out again, Jackey?
We just sent the final proofs back to the publisher, so I should be able to announce that very quickly. I think it'll be out by the end of March. And so I just want to mention real quick that one of our perks is a signed pre-publication manuscript of my book, and we'll be shipping those out right at the end of the Kickstarter. So you have the opportunity to read the manuscript, not only pre-publication, but pre-final edit.
Well, that sounds like an awesome perk. So everyone head on over, search for Manos Returns. If you don't see the link down below in the description of this, check it out, support this project. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, gives respect to the original material, plus, updating it as well for a new audience, hopefully. Plus, you get some nice perks, and it helps support Women in Horror Month as well, which we are nearly smack dab in the middle of. I want to thank you, Jackey, and I want to thank you, Tonjia, for taking the time to talk to me on our little sliver of the internet. I do appreciate it. And hopefully maybe we'll talk to you again after Manos Returns is released.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you. And everyone, thank you for tuning in, those who have been watching us on the live feed. You can also check this interview out. It'll be audio-only version on iTunes. Make sure you just check out that Manos project, though. They really need your support. They're almost there, but they can only do it with your help. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.